We're on an accelerated pace now, Cira, but I have to go back to the skirt thing for a second because this was a gift by Miss Emma. When I returned in 2019, she came to my office and she says, I have something for you. And this was a gift. So every time I wear it, I truly feel the love and compassion from the work that Emma does in our Senior Citizen Affairs Division, especially information and referral. This morning I had the pleasure of going in front of elections. There's 60 years, and they were honoring people of the Virgin Islands that have kept us safe and consistent and allowed us to voice us through elections, and it was really amazing. So I wanted to say thank you for Emma publicly for always keeping me in her prayers and her thoughts, but also thinking of me. So I wanted to say that first. Our vision is going to be accelerated now because of the time frame. We've been building up and building up and building up. We came in 2019 with still recovery from Irma and Maria. Had a lot of project worksheets, a lot of FEMA issues. In addition to that, we also came into COVID. And so when we're in recovery and we had COVID, those two combined were really scary for a lot of people. We prevailed, though. The Department of Human Services never closed. All of our team, all of our resources, all of our services continued throughout the whole entire pandemic. And so now that that's coming to a close, what's going to happen is that your Medicaid program is going to have recertifications for over 37,000 people. Your DFA or SNAP. Now we're now ending that pandemic, so some of the funds that were available during the pandemic are now going away. So now people are going to start to feel that in their pockets a little bit. So I think that for us is that we want to make sure that we're closing out all of our recovery projects well. So we have a lot on the horizon. Super excited. I felt like I needed an architectural and engineering background at this stage. We have 2 skilled nursing facilities that are going to be up and coming. So Queen Louise Home for the Aged in St. Thomas is going to be amazing. We just got the property. Purchase the property is going to be a ground up. It's going to be a beautiful facility for 60 beds. Harbor Grig, we're almost to that cusp where we're just waiting for FEMA to give us that final approval for a full prudent replacement, which also will be a 60-bed facility. We have our Head Start construction projects. We got 1303s approved, and so we have 7 of those coming down the pike, and they'll be ready to go in the next 300 to 400, 500 days. And each island, Cruz Bay, Charles H. Emanuel, we have a whole bunch of stuff going on. So construction is going to be a big part of what we're doing over the next 2 years. But construction is really about, why is it important for construction? We know our buildings are old. Some of them have been worn down by some of the hurricanes. So the space is really important, not only for the staff, but the clients that we serve. And so those 24-hour facilities are going to be precious for our most vulnerable. We know people have been in the hospital for long extended periods of time. We have people off island that we want to bring back home. And we have a waiting list of people that really need care. So construction, it'll be little people, Head Start, all the way up to our older population and most vulnerable. So everything in between. I think that we're learning too is that through COVID we can do work anywhere. And so it might be that we start looking at some satellite offices where we may go on location for this week or 2 weeks, or go through neighborhoods and be able to help either certify or have eligibility for Head Start, or pass out information in a different way. So I think if we look at it, the conceptualized, we have to be 8 to 5 in the office is a little bit different. Sometimes our families are working and they may not be able to get to us in an 8 to 5 category. So could we do some weekend or night work? Potentially. So I think if we're looking at it from a perspective of really serving our population, we need to start looking at it differently. DHS does have a lot of positions. I look at it from 10 years ago or 12 years ago, and we were staffed up. We're over 1,000 employees, and now we're about 750. Does that mean that we need less people, or is it that we lost people after the hurricanes, right? We have a lot of people, too, and I'm going to big up all those that are retirees, because we have long-term employees within DHS that are now coming to their 25 and 30-year marks, and they're now going, okay, I'm ready to pass the buck to somebody that's a little younger. Let's keep it going. So the types of positions we have run the gamut. So if you want to work with little people, it could be Head Start. You could be food service. You could do nutrition. You could work in the classroom. All of those kinds of things. Certification for for child care centers and licensing. We're going to have probably 6 to 8 new positions coming up through our child care. Medicaid and SNAP are going to be huge right now. We're finishing up those budgets, and once those are, we're going to get those PRFs, and everything's going to be located. Homemaker services and nursing, LPNs, are huge for us because we're homes for the aged and the outreach that we do. I know I'm forgetting some. Social workers are a big part of what we're doing. We just had 2 social work positions posted. A family services specialist as well, and that works with our children and youth and families divisions. I think that's important. Our child protective services and our adult protective services. So if you look at that whole gamut, we have everything you can think of when it comes to stuff. So in the governor's state of the territory, it was mentioned that it's time to relook at how we do things at the Youth Rehabilitation Center. Our census has been low for several years now, and it's time to really look at how we can do prevention, how we can support families before children get into the juvenile justice system. So I think it's looking at partnerships. We'll have some town hall meetings. We'll look at those that are currently doing the work, but we're really going to transform juvenile justice, or the concept of it, over the next several years. So I think that that's really important for us to look at, and look at the agencies that are currently providing after school, tutoring, and just really keeping our children safe, but also allowing them to get as much knowledge as they can so they can be successful later. I mean, I think that's one of the crucial things, the health disparity thing. And then what is interesting and really great to mention is the Medicaid and the FMAP, or the federal match requirement. And we have a permanency plan now, so we're not having to fight and get this fiscal cliff every year. So I'm thankful for our governor. I'm thankful for our delegate to Congress, Stacey Plaskett, for really being on the map and really advocating to ensure our people of the Virgin Islands have that health insurance that's much needed. If you look at it, like 30,000, 35,000 people on Medicaid, what that tells us is our rate of poverty in the Virgin Islands, the health disparity aspect of things, and that we deserve to have health care locally and not always have to go off island to provide that care. Growing oneself is the most important thing that we can do for our staff. And if we don't do it, then we will not grow as an agency. So professional development, and it's not just going and attending a conference off island, because it's really more than that. So it's looking at project management. How do I better serve the population with the skill set that I have, and what can I do locally? So as a social worker, I'm also a social worker by trade, I have to have CEU credits. So I do it myself. I go online, I attend sessions. I just attended the ethics one presented by NASW last week, because it's continuous, and it doesn't matter what level you're at of what type of professional development you need. I think it can be also looked at within the division itself of the program, the expertise that are needed. So looking at those leaders, because it's not just about an agency head being a leader, but each administrator, director, manager, supervisors are leaders of their own accord. And if we say, hey, I want to do this for my staff and you have the money, I'm 100% behind it. No worries at all. I think next for DHS is, one is I want to get our staffing, because we can't really be DHS without the workforce. And so that, and trained up well. We have been, I feel, in a place where our fiscal management, because we've had so much money. We have millions of dollars coming through DHS. So for me, fiscal relevancy and management is going to be crucial coming up, because I can't do anything and neither can you if we don't have that. So I think that those two things, plus all of those things being said, will continue to serve the public 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365. So it's all about the services that we give to the most vulnerable of the populations. And how do we get the cycle broken? And that's really crucial for us. So if we provide these services and or programs to help you be self-sufficient, when you become self-sufficient, you no longer need us. And that's really what our ultimate goal is. If you can become self-sufficient, become self-sufficient. If there is a way that we can help you along that way, that's what we're supposed to do. If you no longer can take care of yourself, then that's what we're here for as well. If you could grant me one wish, what would it be? Can I have more than one? So more than one. So one would be everybody would be compensated financially for what they do. And the secondary thing is that we would put ourselves out of business, that everybody would be self-sufficient and have what they need so they wouldn't need us anymore. So I would make kind of twofold. I think our senior leadership above itself, our administrators, directors, supervisors, and managers, line staff who touch the lives every day, not just in a macro practice, but a micro practice, all the way direct services, because we see things that nobody else wants to see on a regular basis. Our federal partners support us through training and technical assistance. They make sure that we're continuing to spend our federal dollars locally. We have a bunch of agencies that we work with locally on a regular basis, too, to help us with our construction projects. So your DPNR, DPW, ODR, DOP, all of those agencies help us to do what we need to do. I think the other part too is, Governor Bryan and Lieutenant Governor Roach, they allowed us to be able to do this continuously for the next 4 years, and for that I'm extremely thankful and grateful. This is the most difficult job I've ever done, but there would not one thing that I would ever give up. So I look at it from a threshold, our nonprofit agencies that do the work as well, because government cannot do it alone. We have to do that partnership, that public-private partnership, and if we don't work together to make a difference, then it really is a misfortune.